did the company not renew her contract, but kept Corey Graves just to see for fun if stuff like this would happen?
So next on the agenda, we're sticking with WWE, or should we actually say ex-WWE talent. Carmella went on a podcast recently that is about to be released in the future, I think, complaining, basically, and accusing WWE of not... she wasn't even released. Her contract was not renewed by WWE after 12 years, and she blames that, one, on being a woman, and there being double standards, and two, about her taking time off to have a baby. So, she says more throughout this 1.5 minute teaser clip kind of thing. But you watched it. What do you make of her complaints, and do you think they have any merit?
Number one, it's a tough thing to guess how people are feeling. There's a whole gambit of emotions, and also logistically trying to figure out financially how you're going to support your family or yourself when you get released. It's pretty tough to have anything else going on as you're wrestling. Everybody tries to do it, but it's hard. But once you get released, and I talked about my release in August of 2008, where I said, oh man, thank God it's finally up to me. But oh my God, it's finally up to me. It's exciting and terrifying. And I wasn't even in the company for 10 years, which back then was a long time. She had a 12-year run, not counting the 2-year kind of maternity leave, right? She had full 10 years and she's been off TV for 2. I'm really, really against, because you're not in the right mindset. You're not in the right emotional mindset to go out and start doing interviews after a release or your contract runs out or you quit or whatever, because you're going to say some things that you may regret. In other words, the accusations of she got fired or didn't get her contract renewed because she had a baby. She's being punished for having a baby. Well, you made a point in the notes that other women have had babies and come back and been pushed.
Mm-hmm. Becky Lynch, Alexa Bliss, Jade Cargill and Lacey Evans had children before they started wrestling, but Asuka, there's the other end of the spectrum, I guess, with Awesome Kong, where she was pregnant, she had a miscarriage, and then when she came back, even she admitted that she just wasn't in the right shape, she wasn't in the right mindset to return at that time, and that's why she was released. So I don't think WWE holds it against women for having children, or at least for the most part, I guess. They don't, at least now.
Don't they even have a daycare set up at the building back when, Daniel Bryan and Brie were they had like a daycare or something.
Did they really?
It's a rumor, but there was a point where everybody was having kids and Stephanie and Hunter would, have, I don't know. It seemed like it was going in the direction of one big family, that it was okay to have kids and we're all, just multi-generational families here all together, coming together for the wrestling barbecue or whatever you want to call it. So that's what I mean. Emotionally, she's thinking she's been singled out and that she's been punished and that she didn't have her contract renewed. But man, the next statement, this is where wrestling relationships and wrestling marriages are pretty dangerous, because they're always pushing one, not pushing the other. One stays employed, one is unemployed. It creates so much strife because the people in the relationship or the marriage are very career-oriented people. You get into the business and you sacrifice so much to get to WWE, get on TV, do all that stuff. And then you see the person you love still there and you're gone. That comment about what she said, that her husband has a job and she's no longer there, that was just kind of weird. That put me off a little bit. Like, what do you try? I'd be happy anybody in my family's still getting a paycheck. Isn't that weird?
Yeah, Corey Graves is Leah Van Dale's real
Leah
life
Van Dale,
husband.
by the way, is a great wrestling name.
Do you know she's actually second generation, because her dad did enhancement work for the WWF.
Oh, I thought he wrote Chippendale.
I thought he wrote maybe
Chippendale.
I can't remember.
That's what I thought. No, I'm sorry.
Oh no! Apparently her dad wasn't very good either.
No, I was talking about Chippendale.
I know,
not the
Chippendale Rescue Rangers, or the strippers were you talking about?
No, you were talking about. That's why I corrected you. I'm in enough trouble about the thumbnail still.
Good, as you should be. Did you know Chip and Dale? It took me years to realise this. They were dressed like Magnum PI in Indiana Jones. I never
Yes,
got picked that up as a
that's
kid.
awesome.
So anyway, back
This
to
isn't
Carmella.
awesome, though. This podcast interview is not going to be awesome.
It's right. So the interviewer, who is brain dead when it comes to wrestling, and she was like, "Well, if it was up to me, I'd sue the whole lot of them." It's like, one, you don't even realise what an independent contractor is. We can argue about independent contractors all we want till the blue in the face, but this is the reality of the situation, right? Is that how can you sue somebody for not renewing your contract? You know what I mean? So obviously she's the world's worst interviewer for this kind of affair, and also it's the entitlement of Leah Van Dale, Carmella. They say 12 years and then they ghosted me, and professional wrestling, as far as I can tell, is a very unforgiving business. I think she was pretty darn lucky to get 12 years pay, including 2 years where she did nothing for the company whatsoever. Is that just me?
No, and she had some title runs and she was featured quite a bit. So she has a good run at conventions with those 8x10s with the women's belt. And she has a whole different thing that she can do to maximize it. But this kind of, when you put it out there like that, Tony Khan, well, TNA works with WWE, so I don't think that's even a possibility. Tony Khan will look at that possibly, or somebody will look at that and tell Tony Khan, if she's going to bury WWE, what do you think she's going to say about your company? That's why I'm against these kinds of airing of your grievances and just being like, it happens to everybody. Everybody gets fired. Everybody eventually gets released. I'm very happy at least that they kept my husband employed because we can still support our family. And by the way,
It sounds like she resents him slightly. Did you get that?
From the inflection of it and even reading just the text of it, yes. That's why I said wrestling relationships and wrestling marriages can be very dangerous and very volatile because not in a way of physical sense, but just one person's always getting used. The company used to do as a rib or as a test. If you were married or you had a boyfriend or girlfriend, they would put you on separate brands intentionally. So in this case, did the company not renew her contract, but kept Corey Graves just to see for fun if stuff like this would happen? Let's see what happens. Because these rich, powerful people need to entertain themselves. And this is how they do it.
They've been a lot better, though, recently with married couples. They do generally keep them together for the most part. I think like Charlotte and Andrade, when they were still married.
But it wasn't the case always. So they would play their games back in the day. But in this case, like, what's Corey? I mean, I'm not one, I don't want to speak out of turn about somebody's marriage or relationship or anything, but he's got to see that or something and be like, well, what? I mean, come on. And he has his own stuff going on with the Pat McAfee stuff, right? He's not happy. So what if they both end up out of jobs after WrestleMania? Then what do you do?
I don't think that'll happen. The thing is, I mean, ultimately, Corey Graves is still useful to the company as a commentator, especially when Pat disappears and then Corey can be put back on Raw. But the thing is, tell me if I'm being harsh here, Carmella was hired because of her looks. She was never the greatest wrestler by any stretch of the imagination, and all power to her, she got more over on personality, which is what you should do. But the fact is that there are so many beautiful women in WWE and professional wrestling these days that it's not just looks that you need. You need looks and you need to be able to get it done in the ring as well, which so many of the women can now. And maybe the business has passed Carmella. But I want to bring up something else as well. Sonya Deville. She had so much more upside than Carmella, I think, in my opinion. Yet they didn't renew her contract either. They released 10 other people. But the way Leah Van Dale, Carmella, is talking, it's like WWE singled out her. And it seems a bit self-absorbed.
It's emotional. That's what it is. Maybe the entitlement comes across as entitlement, or maybe the entitlement comes up to the surface, but it's an emotional response to something that, like I said, they're the company or the business. When you need to do something for them and you won't do it, it's like, well, we're one big family. They take it personally, but when they release you, it's all business and you don't need to take it personally. It's hard not to take it personally, no matter what. Even a Carmella, you can say whatever you want about her wrestling ability or anything, but she was still on the road. She still showed up. She still put in the time. She was still away from her family. She still sacrificed. The money and the miles are the only two things that are real in wrestling, but she definitely should have really taken her 90 days or taken as much time. Then when she gets a job with AEW or whatever else, if she wants to be in the business, then you talk about how you felt when you didn't get your contract renewed. But I have a brand new career here in AEW or wherever else, and I'm very happy. Thank you, WWE. I wouldn't be here if WWE didn't employ me for 12 years. That's how, but man, you shoot right out of the gate, you get in front of a microphone, and you just start talking from the heart, and that could be the worst possible thing to do.
Yeah. I'm figuring that Leah decided to do an interview with someone who has absolutely no idea about the wrestling business, because if she did an interview with someone from the wrestling business or who has an idea of what they're talking about, they would bring up all those points very readily. What you that hurt that you got paid really well for 12 years.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Or
And the last two, you didn't do anything.
they would literally stop the cameras and the microphones from recording and say, you should really rethink that answer. I'm just saying, you may a year from now regret that you're saying these kinds of things about the company.
Yeah, everyone else has been so much more political or genuinely grateful for their time. And this isn't me sticking up for WWE either, but the thing is that a quote from Dutch is, you get hired to get fired. And if you go in to a company with that attitude, you'll never be really disappointed. You'll just be
And
on to the
everything's
next
a
thing.
bonus after day one, because you think, okay, well, I made it another day, another week. I live week to week, but it was quite torturous to think every week the hammer was going to fall. And I would, if she had any self awareness or common sense, you've been off TV for 2 years. You have to know, unless you're constantly giving them ideas. See, that's the point too. Was she emailing ideas, and was she checking in to say, I'm ready to go. I'm back in shape. I want to contribute. Can I go to NXT? Can I do whatever she can do to buy herself more time? Or did she just disappear? And like I said, they sit around in the meeting, they mention a name. If nobody says they have anything for that talent, okay, cut them. Because there's nothing for you. That's what happened to me. Literally, every week someone would say, yeah, we need Stevie here. We need Stevie there. Stevie's going to go to OVW. Stevie's going to work with this guy on house shows. The minute there was silence and nobody had anything to pitch for me, Vince was like, cut him. It's as easy as that.